Well, good evening. We are calling to order the March 5th Dry Creek Joint Elementary School Board meeting. We're gonna go down and see who's here today. We have Trustee Balcom, Trustee Haynes, Trustee Pignoni, and Trustee Fensky in attendance. Absent today is Trustee Walker. Do we have any public comment on closed session items?
We do not.
Well, in that case, we will adjourn to closed session. Oh, yeah.
I tell you what, can I just vote for one on this thing?
Okay.
Welcome back to the March 5th Dry Creek Joint Elementary School Board meeting. All board members are present with the exception of Board Member Walker. If you would please rise with me and remove all hats, head coverings, etc. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Well, coming back from closed session, 3.1, nothing to report, 3.2, nothing to report, 3.3, nothing to report, 3.4, nothing to report, 3.5, nothing to report. Okay, we have one public comment for an item not on the agenda.
Yes, this evening we have Melissa Durant.
Hi, good evening, members of the board and district leadership. My name is Melissa Durrance and I am the EL teacher at Olive Grove Elementary. There are a number of teachers here tonight representing DCTA and our school. And we just wanted to take the opportunity to share with you some of the exciting things that are happening at Olive Grove and also to extend an invitation to you to join us at some of these upcoming events. I know that you've all heard about our high-energy, spirit-filled Friday morning house assemblies. The purpose of our house system is to build a sense of belonging, to review our PBIS routines and expectations, and to celebrate our accomplishments. Tomorrow morning, we will hold our monthly house meetings to learn about the character trait of trustworthiness. Then next Friday, March 13th, we will have our whole school assembly. Tracy, thank you for joining us this year. And I invite anyone else to join us. Swing on by, they start at 8:30 a.m. And I promise you, you will not be sorry to start your Friday mornings with us. They are so much fun. We've also been hard at work doing the quiet, essential work of supporting academic achievement. We just held collaborative conferences where teachers work across grade levels to ensure every student gets the specific intervention that they need to succeed. You've already seen the brilliance of our robotics club. Next up, we'll showcase our creativity with a drama production, Alice in the Land of Idioms. Performances will be held next week, Tuesday and Wednesday at 9 a.m. and then Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Our 5th grade students will be demonstrating their math genius and competitive grit during the Math Bowl on April 10th at 1:45 p.m. Finally, I wanted to mention our hardworking and dedicated PTSA. They continue to provide field trips for all our students, as well as engaging community events. They most recently partnered with our local Lions Club for a pasta dinner and a family bingo night. We love our students and our community, and we're so proud of their achievements. So thank you for supporting us and helping us to keep our programs running.
I do need to make it down there for one of your house things. Okay, we're gonna move on to comments and reports from the executive leaders and board members. Sarah, would you like to be first?
I'm always first, so fine.
Do you want me to go out of order? I can make Christy go first.
I just wanted to thank our certificated staff for all of their hard work at our professional learning day on, was it Monday of this week? It was, it's been a long week. They worked really hard and really dug into a lot of the new things that they've been implementing this year and problem solved and worked together and collaborated, and it was a very productive day for everyone, and I appreciate their efforts. Not just Monday, but all year this year. Everyone's been working really hard this year, and I appreciate everyone, so thank you.
Well, we are thick into next year and planning for that, and so I just want to send my you to all the principals because they have been working very, very hard behind the scenes while running school sites, also making plans and adjusting for what needs to be done in preparation for next year. We have our internal postings going out to our current staff next week, and that takes a lot of strategizing and, movement within the school site. So just thank you to the principals for hanging in there and getting through it with us. And to all of the HR team who has been working extra hard right now just because we are down one leader, and they are really carrying the torch alongside me with Jim's absence. So thank you to them, a special shout out because I know they listen. And it is also recruitment season, so we are thick in recruiting and job fairs. We attended the Sac State Job Fair this week and had some really great conversations with a lot of hopeful new recruits. And we will be at the PCOE Job Fair on Saturday, and some of our district leadership will be joining us as well, just to make Dry Creek shine a little brighter and sparkle a little bit more to those new upcoming teachers. So feel free to come by and cheer on Dry Creek and put a smile and shake some hands. So thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna echo a little bit of what Des said because Beth and I have been out visiting principals as well, working on next year's budgets, and they are all hard at work planning what they're gonna finish out the year with and planning for next year, and everybody's been so open to those conversations and vulnerable for the things they might not know yet, so they've been wonderful, they've been answering all of my questions, so I appreciate you filling in all the blanks of the things that I'm trying to wrap my head around, and spending that time with us. And we are as well keeping an eye on enrollment, and so we're busy looking at now moving into budget development a little bit more. We've also started meeting with departments on their budgets for next year, so we are in full swing and it's just gonna keep on going. That's it.
Good evening. I just gonna echo a lot of what staff have already said. I was in attendance at the staff development day on Monday, and it was wonderful to see our middle school teachers at Silverado Middle School, our elementary teachers at Heritage Oak Elementary School, and also staff that are not assigned to a grade level, just participating in some authentic professional learning. I was reflecting back to when I first started in the district in long time ago, and our professional development was literally a list of 100 high frequency words. So we've come so far as a district, and you can just see the light bulbs go on in their staff and our teachers as they're working and collaborating together. Thanks to Shay for putting together a schedule that was, well followed. Teachers had their time to do planning, or certificated staff had time for planning and collaboration, which is just essential. It's critical for the job to move forward. And shout out to Heritage Oak and Silverado that had to host those events, because staff have to be 100% on their, on top of things to have all the people come and visit. So it's a lot of work, but it really shined. So also, I noticed that Silverado Middle School and Creekview Ranch are being recognized as schools to watch, and so that's a long process to go through to apply for those awards and that recognition, and that really is a shout out and a kudos to our district for all of those recognitions that we do have. I know Cliff mentioned quite a few others at the last meeting. We have our communications department as well as our administrative staff that are being recognized, so just it's always great to hear about that. And then I know in Cliff's newsletter, he mentioned that financial services were completing their ASB inventory, and oh my gosh, whoever does that job that has to take care of all of this student body accounting, that is so tedious, because that sometimes takes in all the field trip money, the t-shirt money, the pencils, the pens, everything that's sold through our student body funds. And every penny has to be accounted for. So, that's a hard job, Christina, and I know your staff probably, nobody knows that it happens. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, Monica does her job with that. So, and then to the HR department, best of luck recruiting on Saturday. That's always such a fun event to shine and be able to, encourage new staff to come here. So thanks for putting that together and being there. And then, you know, thanks to the Olive Grove teachers for showing up today and for the invitation, for extending the invitation to go through 10 newsletters and series of events and try to figure out which one to go to and where they are and what day of the week. It's nice sometimes to hear it in person and be able to write it down and say, aha, that's something that sounds really great and exciting. So thank you for being here and thank you for your hard work and your professionalism. And anyone who hasn't gone to a Friday assembly at Olive Grove, it's better than coffee. Great way to start your Friday.
That's a tough act to follow, so, no, but just, yeah, I don't have much to add to this except for we see your hard work and we really appreciate it. It's, I think for the general population who just experienced ski week, you kind of feel like, oh, we're cruising now to the end of the school year, and like to see on the inside what's going on to prepare for the new school year, it's like daunting. It's like building a whole new ship to get it back out to sea come next fall. So keep up the great work. We really appreciate y'all.
Next.
Do you have anything, John?
No, oopsie. Oh, shoot. Nothing prepared. I just spilled a poppy on our. That was very odd. So I was sitting here looking out at the audience and the principals, the teachers from Olive Grove, the trustees here, the great staff here. And, you know, I've been at this for 3.5 years and I've never really said this before, but I just want to say what an honor it is to be part of this group. I could tell you all have a heart for the kids and you're here for the right reason. And to be part of this community is a real honor for me. And it's embarrassing to spill things. But I just really wanted to say that. And I really feel I'm kind of a veteran like Jean here for 3.5 years. And when I first came here, I was kind of like, didn't even know what I was doing. I felt a little defensive and all these kind of things, but I've gotten to know everybody on some level a little bit, or not everybody, but I could just tell that we just, you know, I'm just so honored and to be working with the Dry Creek and just the heart you all have for the kids. I just really appreciate that. And one more thing I want to say is I'm glad Jim Ferguson's doing better. And he's in my thoughts, he's my friend, and I hope he's listening. I hope he gets back soon. So thank you. Jean, who's next?
I was gonna let our superintendent go and I'll close out before we hit the consent agenda.
Well, I'm gonna go see Jim tomorrow, so I will share your best wishes with him, and everyone here at the district office had a chance to sign this large card that I'm gonna take to him, so he's doing really well, and I know he's probably not watching. He might, he's really bored, so who knows? Maybe he'll pull it up, but I know he's starving for some attention, so I'm gonna go give it to him tomorrow. Just wanna echo some of the things that were shared. So tonight, actually, so both Silverado Middle School and Creekview Ranch here are down in Long Beach with some admin and staff representing them as they're being awarded by the California League of Middle Schools for the schools to watch. So Principal Knox is here from Silverado. He's gonna be going later in June to the national recognition. So he sent one of his assistant principals tonight. I saw him here and I was like, what are you doing here? You guys are getting an award tonight. And he's like, oh, I sent somebody else. So I know they're down there right now. Obviously, I would have loved to have been there as well, but with the board meeting, already scheduled, I wasn't able to do that. But, just congratulations to them and their school and their staff. Just for the sake of the public, for those who don't know, so this is an award that they give out basically every 3 years. You have to apply. It's almost like what high schools have to do with WASC to be accredited, but this isn't an accreditation, it's a recognition. So it's schools that have effective practices that can be replicated, and the whole point of this, and if you actually go to the California League of Middle Schools website to learn more about this, they have profiles on every school that's been recognized and awarded. And it's really like a sharing of best practices so other schools can emulate those great things. So just a little history. So Silverado was originally designated as a school to watch in 2003, and then again in 2006, 2009, 2012, 2015, 2018. COVID had a little hiatus in there, again in 2023, and then now in 2026. So they've basically been recognized and then have kept on doing these great things. So
kudos to them and their staff. It takes a lot of work, and they have committees that come out and visit the staff and visit the school and kind of learn these things firsthand, and they're the ones that make the determination. Creekview was designated first in 2019, and then again in 2023, and then now 2026. So just a great recognition for those schools and the great things they're doing. Next week, Renee, Michelle, and I will be going to the CalSPRO conference, the California School Public Relations Officers, something, whatever. Association, there we go, CalSPRO. In San Jose, I mentioned it a few times. There's 8 videos that they've made over the last year that are getting recognized, and Renee is gonna be co-presenting with her counterpart from, I think, Roseville Joint.
Correct.
So they're actually doing a session, so we're gonna go and watch them do their thing, so that's gonna be awesome. We're not saying who's being recognized, but we just recently submitted to the Placer County Office of Education our employees of the year, so there's certificate employees and classified employees in a whole bunch of different categories. We had several administrators, most administrators nominate folks, and so we had the privilege, honor, and I guess the tough task of trying to narrow down who to put forward, so that'll be coming up later in April. The county will communicate who was selected, so we're gonna go out and let our folks know before they do, just, who's nominated, so it's a great group of people to look at and nominate. So kind of echoing what John had said, we do have great staff, great people. We have our open houses coming up. Real quick here in March before we go on spring break. And then just a few other things. Kudos to Shay, our committees, and Sarah for putting together that staff development day on Monday. I wanna thank Michelle and Erica for stepping in and helping out, getting the meeting going tonight. We had some technical difficulties. I don't know if we're still experiencing them, but okay, we're working on it. Sarah wasn't able to be here, so we had to have some folks step up. And then just to the comments about kind of being at sites and kind of getting the energy from staff and from kids, I'll echo that, a million times over. So I started off the school year visiting every school site. I met with each of the principals before school started, and then came out and visited each of the sites. And then there was kind of a lull in the middle there where my schedule was a little impacted. And then recently I asked my secretary, hey, can you schedule me another round? Like, I need to get back to these school sites. Like, that's where the lifeline is. It's not here. So even though it's great to work here, it's great people. Great people, but so just getting out there and seeing our school sites. So I just want to share some of the things. So if you're lacking like energy or spirit and you just need to pick me up, it's at the sites is where it's at. So I got to see at several different schools because they're all kind of on the same timeline. I visited several second grade classes and they're all learning how to read and understand analog clocks. I think we just call them clocks. I don't know if they're analog or not, but just fascinating, something that we all learned when we were young that nowadays most kids just see the digital, so teaching them that whole thing's a skill. And I got to see several teachers do it in different ways. A lot of them, I saw one today at Coyote Ridge there was musical cues and a song that went with it, and all the kids were right on it. And there was a tricky one. It happened to be 9:59 a.m. when we were in the classroom. And so they identified the hour hand and they were trying to identify the minute hand right as it went to 10. And so it was, the hour hand counts by ones and then the other hands are the minutes. So she asked the kids to identify what time was it exactly, what were the minutes? And I thought that was gonna be a stump question. I thought someone was gonna say 12. But kids said 00. I was like, okay, that's right. And then they had a little visual cue and a little musical thing for 00. So it was fascinating. And then just some of the other stuff I saw over Antelope Meadows, some close reading activities. It's beautiful weather besides the wind today, but a lot of our teachers take the opportunity to take the kids outside and just enjoy the beautiful weather that we have here, so. Just again, putting in a plug for great things happening in our school sites and the energy that the kids bring, and it reminds me why I got an education. When you see that light bulb turn on, when you see the kids get it, you can't help but, be energized by that, so. Encourage everyone to come out and experience those, and I know the teachers get to see that every day, so good for them. And that's all I have to share.
That was a lot. This is why I like going last, because everybody says everything, so there's not much left for me to say. Except that I have enjoyed meeting with Cliff with our meetings to go over stuff, getting a lot of stuff done. And also I wanted to specifically thank Christy for spending some time with me the other day discussing all things budget, because sometimes when you look at the budget and you look at all these numbers, they're swimming around in front of you, and then you say to yourself, okay, I kind of know what this means, and I kind of know what this means, but how do those things fit together, and what is this formula, and what about the lottery money? So I so appreciate you spending a lot of time with me, so that it's pretty solid. So the other thing that I want to address is just something that to me was just plain old-fashioned common sense. And that was and I'm surprised no one brought it up, but it was the Supreme Court ruling 6-3 decision that parents have the fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, because it's been a hot topic, especially with, I know that we had passed a parental notification policy along with some other school districts. And it was really important for us to make sure that parents were always kept in the loop with regard to their children. And it is nice to have it validated by the Supreme Court that parents are not the enemy and that parents' rights prevail. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else is gonna come out of the Supreme Court going forward. So moving on to the consent agenda, does
Can I
any?
interject really quick about this
Yes.
Supreme Court? Yeah, I met with Cliff yesterday regarding that same subject. And my understanding is it's still kind of in process. And so hopefully, we'll be updating maybe the next meeting. You can have something new regarding that, so. Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
Guys. I think we're all on top of it, kind of.
We are,
So.
well, I'm not gonna say anything else about it, we'll hold off on that. Okay, consent agenda, does anybody have anything that they would like to pull or discuss or whatever?
Nope.
I do.
You want to do anything?
You might still need it, go ahead.
No, do you want to pull anything?
No, no. I was gonna make a motion. You go.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Well, thank you. So we have a motion by Board Member Fenske, a second by Board Member Haynes, all in favor? Aye. That's 4-0. We will move on to item 7.1. And that will be on the second interim report. Are you ready?
I'm
I'm very excited.
very ready.
Okay.
Did I just say I was excited about the budget? This is so
You
crazy.
did, that made me very happy.
It's on the record.
Okay, so this is gonna look a little different, it's organized a little different as well, so I'll walk you through some of the changes. So this is our second interim report for the 25-26 school year. We're going to touch on some fiscal updates, kind of a very short revision, recap of what I presented at last board meeting, because there has not been a lot of changes. Then we'll talk about current year projections as of second interim, and the following 2 years, followed by other funds. And then we'll touch on some budget development milestones as we start talking about that, and then our request for approval. A little informational piece is that school districts are required by a state mandate to certify their budgets in one of these 3 categories. We'll be submitting ours with a positive certification, which means that we will be able to meet our obligation, our financial obligations in this year and the next 2 years. Second interim is comprised of transactions from July 1st through January 31st, and it's required to be approved by March 15th. This is just a quick picture of kind of our year-round budget cycle. The very bottom one is the governor's budget proposal, which was in January. Then I brought you information in February, and now we're at second interim, and then we kind of go around that cycle. So a little recap of the fiscal side of things. So the state and US as general are still continuing to grow in the economy, but we still have those economic uncertainties that we've been talking about. None of that has changed. Overall, the state is still in declining enrollment. Specifically here at Dry Creek, we are planning for our enrollment to continue declining, and we are building that into, or baking it into our numbers. We show that in our projections. We're reducing enrollment, we're reducing funding and expenses to go along with that. So the governor's budget shows higher revenues in those out years. That deficit spending has not gone away. Although we are seeing that currently the revenues have been coming in higher than projected, so that gives us a little bit of stabilization in the short term. But again, it does not eliminate that long-term pressure of we're still $22 billion in the hole in those out years. And it also does not take away that $5.6 billion Prop 98 settle up that he's proposing, which really just helps on the other side of the state's budget. So hopefully by the May revise, maybe we'll have a better picture and maybe that number won't look so large, but I am not holding my breath. Moving on to current enrollment. We are up still from our original projections by 111 students, and this is from last week, so it's already changed since. The fluctuation changes weekly. But we are down 16 from what I had changed that projection to back in September. So here's where it looks a little different. I wanted to share our unrestricted and our restricted budgets a little bit separately this time. I feel it shows the story in a slightly different light. On our unrestricted side, it's really kind of our house and the base where all of our required items live, our staff, things that we require to keep the district going. Where we have more discretion, that local control comes into play, versus that restricted side where we have our categorical grants, our one-time fundings that have very, tight strings attached to them and specific requirements on how you have to spend them and when you have to spend them, where we don't get to just decide what we want to do. These are kind of those extra things that go along with the basics that we provide. Some of the notable changes in the unrestricted side is there's been an adjustment to prior year lottery, which happens every year because they do a true up once our annual attendance is certified, which doesn't happen until the next fiscal year, and their revenue as well. Then they redistribute it throughout the state. We've had an increase in our interest income because we still have additional cash sitting in the bank. On the other side, we have our expenses. So we've increased our budget to cover the 5th grade Chromebook replacement that you approved in the last meeting. So that expense has happened. We have also seen an increase in legal fees. And then you'll also see an offset to that of we've moved some project budgets to next year. And so that will you'll see that reduction. And then we've also removed some budgets for school site carryover that we know that they'll be spending next year. So we're not showing them that we're expecting to spend it right now. In the other uses and sources, you'll see an increase we transferred funds out of Fund 40, which is where our equipment replacement funds sit, and into general fund to cover that 5th grade Chromebook purchase. It was slated for next year and we just bumped it up a little. And then a small adjustment to the contribution of Fund 25 to finish out the Antelope Meadows and Olive Grove projects. And this is a much smaller version of the budget overall. So this is just the unrestricted side. And this is where I struggle seeing up there compared to here. If you look at the second column is where we were at first interim. And then in that third column, the 25-26 second interim budget. And the very last one is the comparison showing you the difference. And that illustrates the change that I just talked about on the previous slide. Starting at the top, we've got your beginning balance. and then plus or minus your revenue and expenditures, and then down to line G where you have the ending fund balance. And that has increased in that bottom right-hand corner by almost $648,000. But knowing that we know what those funds are for and how we plan to spend them next year, you'll see on a later slide that we've added those to our committed funds and our assignments because we know they have a purpose. And then onto the restricted side, we have a similar adjustment for lottery because we have two types of lottery. On the restricted side, it's designated specifically for instructional materials only. And the unrestricted is for any educational purpose, so there's a little bit more freedom there. Then we also had adjustments for prior year Medi-Cal, which is similar in that concept of they true up after the fact, so they're always in arrears. And then we had an additional literacy screening and PD grant for this year. And we did not budget that until we actually saw the dollars, so we wanted to make sure we were going to get it. So on the expense side of that, we budgeted for those new revenues. And then we had some planned adjustments overall in general fund, but specifically for like Title I and mental health, the dollars that we had budgeted, some of those things that came in with salary adjustments and things like that. And the snapshot for restricted, this is the same as the previous one, so again, comparing first interim to second interim, and in that third column, the difference between the two. And then that bottom right-hand corner, you can see that we are increasing that balance by $176,000. However, if you look at line A or row A, where you see the $17.1 million beginning fund balance, compared to the very bottom line of 16.4, we are spending down that restricted balance. And then the reason I wanted to bring that up is just to point out that that is the same thing that we've been talking about on the planned drawdown, and it just looks different. I didn't do a whole chart on it this time, so that is what we know we're spending those dollars. So a lot of these one-time grants and funding sources give us funds ahead of time before we spend them. So we put them in our savings account, which is our fund balance, and then we reduce that as we start spending it. So that's why you'll see that negative number keep growing. Okay, so a little bit bigger, these are both restricted and unrestricted combined, but the same format, same idea. If you look at the top, we're looking at the beginning fund balance as a whole, plus and minus your revenues and expenditures gets us to that middle dark row G at our ending fund balance. And I really wanted to kind of share those two different pieces to show that it's not all on the unrestricted side of the house where we can decide, so some of that is on that restricted piece. And then starting in the middle, just below that, are components of ending fund balance, which is basically how we plan to allocate that ending fund balance. So part of that, if you look at that little letter B, is the restricted, and it matches that $16.4 million from the restricted tab, or restricted slide. And then we have our committed funds, and these are dollars that we've set aside for required purposes or future known needs, such as supplemental grant carryovers in there. We have dollars for instructional materials, future textbook adoptions, replacement for equipment and furniture. As we all know, our sites and equipment are aging, and we need to ensure that we have funds to replace all of those, so we do. It's a pretty solid plan. We continue to keep that moving so that we're never in that place of a school site's furniture's all falling apart and we can't replace it. So there's a lot of long-term planning happening. Our assignments just below that in section D, little d, those items are percentages of our expenditures, and those are things that are going to help ensure that we make it through our declining enrollment. It gives us a chance to adjust for declining enrollment and not disrupt things too quickly. It also gives us a little bit of a cushion to keep us going if the state does have an economic downturn or revenues just stop coming in. This will keep us going for a little while. And the bottom letter E is our economic uncertainty 3%, which we are required to have. And I know we've talked about this one a lot, but that's the minimum that we're required to have. So other agencies, including the Placer County Office of Ed, really do encourage that we keep additional reserves, and that's what those assignments are. So that keeps us above that 3% without stocking away everything, because we have students and staff to support right now. So we're walking that fine line of doing both. And this pie chart is just a breakdown of our revenues, you know, the pictures I've shown you, and it's combined restricted and unrestricted. The charts I was showing you before were just a total of revenue, so this gives you a little bit of breakdown so you can see where our funds come from. So 75.1% of our revenue comes from LCFF sources. As Gina and I just recently talked about, that has to do with property taxes and Prop 98 dollars. And state revenue coming in at 14.5%, which is $15.6 million, and then the rest are smaller, but they're there. Similar is our expense breakdown. Our salaries and benefits, which should always be our largest piece and always will be, at 78.1% right now, and that equates to about $83.5 million. Followed by our services and other operating expenses at 11.4 million, almost 11.5, or 10.5 of our expenses. Salaries, supplies and materials come in after that. Looking forward into our multi-year projections. Multi-year projections, or what we call MYP, is a requirement by law. And it really shows the impact of the decisions we make today on our future finances. Here are some of the key assumptions that we've used to build those multi-year projections. So we're still showing our declining enrollment.
Hey, Chris, can I interject with a
Yes,
question?
absolutely.
So, we're having a lot of developments in the ranch and then Creekview, I guess, to the south of PFE. We have a declining enrollment of 195 in a few years. It just doesn't seem to register with me when you see so much growth around here.
Well, we've really been seeing more of a 200 and above declining, and that's what had been projected before, so it's actually come down a little bit. But right now, we don't know, so there is about, on average, 10 to 15 in each of those years coming in, but we also don't know when they're gonna come in. We don't know what grades they're gonna be. The development, the largest one over here, the Taylor Morrison, sorry, point over your head, Des. They're pretty, you get that way.
The
See,
ranch is
direct-
that way,
see, this is why I do numbers, not
Yeah.
directions. They are not nearly on the schedule that they thought they were gonna be on. When we had met with them, originally they thought they'd be selling by now. So we don't have that, we're actually pushing that out another year because we just don't know what that's gonna look like. We haven't seen any from the Double S Ranch. And then
Okay.
the new one, we aren't sure either. So as they get a little further along, the other development down North Antelope is building, and they've been pulling their permits, so once we get some updated information from them in the next couple of months, so hopefully by when I bring you something back in, May and June, we'll have some better information and hopefully I can change some of those projections, but for right now, we
It
just,
seems like it's slowing down quite a bit.
yeah, everything
The
seems.
last I heard was they were gonna start grading at the ranch, and I've not seen
And
anything.
they haven't, right, so,
I was curious.
yeah, that's the only reason, so,
And so as far as enrollment goes, there's the uncertainty because the uncertainty in construction and development and everything else also.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And then there's other factors, so the demographers that we work with and the builders, there's usually a formula for about how many kids you can expect per home. And a key factor in that is the cost of the home.
yes.
So the more expensive the home, the less likely they're gonna have young kids. So that's another thing, is trying to figure out where the price point's gonna be for these developments. That could definitely affect, how many kids we do or we don't see, so
Sure.
to keep watching that.
So just on top of all that, so whenever a home sells, do they notify you? So how do you know when things are?
With the new developments,
the developer.
they don't necessarily let us know, but I'm in contact with them because they're pulling their permits, and so we've had that relationship with them now. So we, between Jim or I, have conversations with them somewhat regularly, just to kind of, especially the one in North Antelope, now that they're really starting to build. We'll start talking more often to see how that's going with them. Taylor Morrison, once they start getting that far along, we'll have those conversations. Right now, they'll update us on their timeline, because that also impacts the funds that they owe to us, so they'll at least keep us, involved in that piece. And then we'll just continue those relationships and reaching out to them if they don't reach out to us.
Yeah, getting back to the ranch, but don't we have that land they developed, they gave it to us to do an extension for Creekview Ranch School?
Yes,
That's not gonna fall through, correct? That's still gonna go forward.
that's still going
That's
forward.
written in stone, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, we're currently working on a mitigation agreement with them.
Okay.
It's with our legal team reviewing it,
yeah,
so.
thanks, getting off track a little bit, but thank you.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, so we're definitely still moving forward with that. Anybody else? No, I don't mind, I'm gonna appreciate this. Okay, so else on here, the change in our FTEs with our staffing, so it looks a little different than what you've seen before. Previously, we were only showing specific to certificated in the classroom. And even that number has changed based on program needs, the reduction has decreased. That sounds, double negative sounds terrible. So, and then we also have other adjustments for support staff in some of those classrooms. And then we also are including the 2 assistant principal positions that are spread across 4 schools that don't currently have one. For next year, that is in there. I wanted to make sure we got all of those updates in there. Then the next third line there is the cost of living or COLA. In 26-27, still estimated at 2.41, which we adjusted to already. Still hearing that the expectation is that will climb as these revenues have been coming in higher, then that number should tick up a little, we just don't know how much. And so nobody wants to put in a new number and then be wrong. In the very bottom is our PERS and STIRS, which is our retirement funding. And that percentage changes for PERS often. We do have the anomaly of 26-27 where it's gonna dip a tiny little bit and then it's gonna go right back up. So we adjust for all of that. So this is the same format as you saw for current year. And we've taken all of those assumptions and all that we know about enrollment and what we know for future funding and who gets what funding sources get a COLA and don't, put that all together to try to develop our 3-year projection. So in this summary, that first second column is current year, so you're comparing current year to 26-27 and then 27-28. And in the same format, you've got the beginning fund balance, revenues and expenditures, and then a net increase or decrease, so we have our ending balance right there in the middle in row G. And then our commitments and assignments, the same percentage of those expenditures is how we get our assignments. Still planning for the future on whether we're doing projects, textbook adoptions, things like that are all built in. And then the bottom row is our unassigned balance, which you do see is growing. If you compared it to first interim, it is not as large. And again, I would say that, I think all of us would say, in my world, that last third year is always wrong. There's so many things that change daily but this is the best we can do right now based on current trends, our staffing, regular salary increases for step and column for, all of those things that automatically happen, so. But we are in a great place, we have reserves for the things we need, and we have a fund balance, so we are conservatively budgeting well. Moving on to,
Another quick question, so the 3% economic uncertainty, that's pretty standard for districts to have
That's
3% fund.
for our size of a district, it's the required
It's required,
state reserve, yes.
okay.
And
And
then,
you always kind of exceed that a little bit, it looks like.
yes, we do have the 10% reserve cap coming into play for next year, so we do have to be mindful of that.
Okay,
But yes, we can go above the 3%, which we are because we know we have things that
great.
can happen. Ending balance and projections for all other funds, this looks a little different as well. So that we have a positive ending balance in all of our funds. We also look at that on a multi-year kind of projection, but we don't present that, but we are in a positive standing in all of our funds. And 26-27 budget development milestones. So that first one, we're here, it's first, second interim. In May will be the governor's May revise, and then my fiscal team and I will start redoing all of our assumptions and projections and all of that to bring you new estimates for the first meeting in June, where I will present to you the proposed 26-27 budget. And then Sarah and I will be presenting to you the proposed 26-27 LCAP. And followed by the second board meeting in June, where we will bring for consideration of adoption the LCAP and budget for 26-27. So tonight, staff is requesting approval of the second interim financial report, and we're recommending a positive certification, which means based on the current assumptions, we will meet our financial obligations in the current and the next 2 subsequent years. And I wanna say a big shout out and thank you to my team, because they work very hard to get out and make sure they can talk to everybody and figure out what's going on and project those out years and keeping us all in the good standing that we're in.
Great job, Christina, thank you very much. Sitting here a year ago, my first one of these, Roger, you know, the great prognosticator, shared a lot of the stuff you shared about the demographers, information and all that, and so I just noticed that your presentation is a lot prettier than his, but it's still very accurate, and we appreciate you adding your touch as well.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job, you and your team, we thank you very much.
Thank
It was a really, last summer, it was a tearful goodbye to
Yes.
some of our beloved folks, but you filled his shoes very well, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
I also think, in terms of the enrollment projections, he had a little plan in one of his drawers that was have more babies, a campaign for Dry Creek School District, so
I like it.
you might still find that if you write a
Yeah.
little deep enough, you know, he was maybe we can plan some parent date nights or things like that to try to
I
get
like
the enrollment numbers up, so anything to help the team. Tracy had a good idea too.
I like it.
Anyway, so no, but in all seriousness, thank you, it's tedious, very tedious, and you guys really put the cookies on the bottom shelf for us, I like to say, so I appreciate it, and looks great, and I mean, we're stewarding taxpayer dollars here for the good of students and families, and that's a big entrustment, and this district has a great reputation for doing a good job of it, and thank you for continuing that so faithfully.
Thank you.
Just wanna thank Christy also. I always love to see like an excess money versus not enough money. So that's kind of what I zoom in most of all. And nothing more, just I feel, I think I can speak for all of us, we feel a sense of, I don't wanna say relief, that probably doesn't come off right, but we feel a sense of appreciation for knowing that we have a good steward here for our budgets, so thank you for that. And with that, I guess I would like to make a motion.
Tracy has
You got something, I'm sorry, Tracy.
It just made me think, you know, what a great place we are in. So when you read about what's happening with other districts across our state, they're having to, you know, eliminate positions due to declining enrollment. And far worse than that, eliminate programs due to declining enrollment or spending that hasn't been well maintained or tracked. And so kudos to Christina, just like everyone else has said, and then also to her site administrators that carefully plan and articulate how the budgets are gonna go. And to, you know, our teaching staff as well that have their students at the foremost of their thoughts, but know that we don't have an unlimited budget, you know, but everyone's working together really hard. And it's great to be in this position because we have, you know, neighboring districts and districts across the state where they're having to lay off numerous people. And that's not a fun position to be in at all. So I'm very, very grateful that we are looking, you know, towards the future continuously and how can we keep students here. I was sidebarring with Ryan, so I apologize for that. It was bringing me back to times when enrollment was down low, and I remember going to the open houses or to the developers places and bringing little gift baskets for like any family that was walking in the door, you know, we're over here, we're Dry Creek, don't go to a private school, come to public education. And so sometimes that's what we would do for fun during our lunchtime, so Christine and I did hear what you and Jim do as well. You know, we do wanna win our new families and our community members. Dry Creek's a great place.
Would you like me to make a motion?
Sure.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second interim report.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Fensky, a second by Board Member Balcom, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
So Jean, if I can make a comment real quick.
Yes?
So wanted to wait till it was approved, but just wanted to echo and reiterate what everyone was saying. Christy and I are both blessed to, you know, be sitting on the shoulders of great people before us, so just you know, Brad, Roger, the team has and the board and the prior boards as well have left this district in a great position financially. I've been following as long as well, some of you, some of the other districts in the area, Santa Rosa, Oakland are going through some very ugly things. And it's all because they, over time, either mismanaged or didn't make some of those tough decisions that you have to make when you're declining enrollment. And I used to live in Santa Rosa, so feel for them. I was at a seminar recently with the director of FICMAT, who was on his way to a district to tell that board and district admin the tough things that they needed to hear, and so far they've chosen to not take any of those steps. So just you know, I know that's one of the burdens I felt, you know, coming here, and I know Christy felt it as well, is trying to, you know, that's where a superintendent and or CBO usually lose their jobs, is when funds are mismanaged and plans aren't made and updated. So the fact that we're declining enrollment but have been planning for it, and while there is a downturn in some staffing, we can absorb most of it through attrition, so you're not hearing the word layoff here, thank goodness. It is happening quite a bit around us. So again, that's just kudos to, you know, Christy, Beth, our fiscal services team, the work they do in collaboration with HR and ed services. So we're just really acknowledge we're in a great position, even though we're declining, because we're managing it well. So hopefully we can continue to make smart decisions and have you know, these continued conversations as we go forward. Hopefully the economy does, you know, continue to grow and help kind of cover some of these issues. So hopefully we can avoid having those really tough conversations as long as possible. So I just wanted to put in another word and kudos to everyone, and thank Christy, this was her beautiful creation, so she's now transferred from Roger's templates to her own thing.
Good
That's
graphics.
great.
I know, I love the graphics.
Yeah.
But I mean, to echo everyone's sentiments, I mean, we are really grateful, you know, not only for the work that, you know, the people prior put in, but just for your continued diligence. And I mean, I know I've sat next to you with the spreadsheet and the numbers just, you know, I'm sure you guys probably have an idea. You see all these numbers, they're big numbers, and you just kind of go, oh my goodness, I'm glad I'm not in charge of that. So I'm really grateful, as is everyone else, for all the time you put in and the work, the entire team. It's nice to know that we're in a good place, and that when you read some of those headlines, you understand that it's not something that we have to deal with.
I'm so grateful for that.
Me too. Okay, we are going to move on to policy reviews. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at all of the policies? If
Yes.
so, we can start with 8.1. We can,
So
yes,
would we just say, make a motion to approve 8.1, which is all the items in 8.1, and let's go to the next one, 8.2.
Yep, we can just wait
Okay, I
for
have no
first
issues with
reading.
8.1, I don't know if anybody else did. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve policy 8.1.
Second.
Okay, for policy 8.1, we've waived the second reading. We have a motion by Fensky to approve second by Board Member Haynes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. Moving on to 8.2.
It's fun.
Any comments, questions, anybody not ready?
I had no issues with it.
Does anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, so it says first reading, but we're approving it, we're waiving the second
Waive the
reading.
second
so-
reading.
Yeah, okay, cool, just clarifying. So yeah, I make a motion to approve the
Let's see attendance there.
policies, yeah. board
I'll
policies in 8.2.
Second by.
Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Haynes, a second by Board Member Fensky for policy 8.2, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. Moving to 8.3. Has everybody had a chance to look at that one?
Social media, yeah, that's not an issue either. I'm fine with that also. I can make a motion to approve item 8.3.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Fensky, second by Board Member Haynes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Last one is the second reading, 8.4.
And I'll leave that up to Tracy.
That one just had a minor change, if you recall. Everyone had a chance to look at it.
Oh yeah, to clarify, this was the one you guys asked us to hold over 5113, I
Yeah.
think. Because of that new law about students being able to excuse themselves to participate in civic
Yeah.
activity as long as they get prior notification. So we did clarify with legal that we can put a time limit on how much prior notice is required. So you'll see, we updated it with a 24-hour minimum prior notification.
Great.
That's good.
Do you wanna go?
I'll make a motion to approve policy number
8.4.
8.4.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Bowden, second by Board Member Fensky, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. That was the last item on our agenda tonight.
No pending agendas.
So, does anybody have any last?
Can I say something really quick? I failed to thank Heritage Oak and County Ridge. My daughter spent last week there and had a wonderful time with the kids. She's at Wood Creek and does this where you play with the kids, sports thing, you know. She came home every night telling me how cute the kids were and how nice everybody was. And basically just reinforced the belief that being around kids just make you happy, just increase your energy, and just everybody has such a good heart for the kids, so I just wanted to mention that too.
I love that. Anybody else? Okay, well, with that being said, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be on April 16th, so we will see you then. I don't see anything on our pending agenda items. So we will adjourn 7:30.
Yay, good job.